Funding for Love to Paint with Mimi was provided by Agnes Gund. Utrecht Art Supplies, celebrating 60 years. And by Kelly and Robert Day. Additional funding was provided by the following.
Hi, I'm Mimi. Today we're going to do a painting inspired by one of the world's most famous works of art, Starry Night by Vincent van Gogh. So grab your brushes and let's get going. Ready, set, go. Here we go. Paint on paper. This is what creation is about. Woo, isn't that beautiful? This is the beach. Look at that green against that yellow. I mean, it just sings. We're dancing with this color. It's going across the page. I'm a shape maker. That's what artists do. They make shapes, they create color, they do all these incredible things. Oh, I love to paint. Hello and welcome. Today's painting is inspired by Vincent van Gogh, whose extraordinary energy and brushstrokes have inspired the world for over a century. But before we get started, let's visit the Rhode Island School of Design Museum in Providence, Rhode Island. Art galleries are fabulous places to learn and to get inspired by art. And today we're going to look at the work of two artists and how they were inspired to use brushstrokes. This is a painting by George Lemmen, and pointillism was the method that he used. And he did an underpainting, and then he took the brush and put little dots of paint on the canvas. And you can see in the dark here, he had blue and purple, and then he hit orange. And it brought out the light as well as the dark. And also, he used different colors in the same spectrum. For instance, if he used an orange, he put a yellow and a red next to it. And then he used complementary colors, the cool colors, the blues and the purples. And he came up with an incredible result. And the painting is actually looked a little more interestingly if you stand back from it. When you're up very close, you see the dots. When you stand back, you get the impression of this wonderful light and color. Now we're going to look at a painting by Renoir. And his brush strokes were very soft. And the colors blended into each other, and it looks like he actually used the soft brush. And he built the colors up on top of each other. You can see he's got the pinks and the yellow and the ochre, all in the hair, creating this atmospheric effect. He also wanted to be able to go into his paintings and touch everything he painted, so he was very tactile. What a lovely painting, and you can see why he was so famous. So today, we're going to be inspired to do a painting by Vincent van Gogh, the famous Starry Night. And I have for paper Arches 300 pound, which is very thick and heavy, and I need this thick paper because I'm going to be putting a lot of water wash down to begin with. And we're only using two brushes today. And one is this 2-inch varnish brush. And then this is a little sable, my favorite one, which is a 10-inch sable. So the 2-inch varnish, the 10-inch sable. This painting is absolutely extraordinary as I've been working on it because it has such incredible energy. And I think that what Vincent did was he put yellow underneath the whole thing. I'm not sure, but he did. But I better tell you about the color paints. I'm so excited. I can't wait to get started on this. The first color we have is ultramarine blue, phthalo blue. That was one of his favorite colors, phthalo blue, or Prussian blues close. And phthalo green, and this is alizarin crimson, cambium red, and we have 3 yellows because I'm going to be using a lot of yellow and I want them to stay clean. They're 2 gamboge, one cambium yellow, one burnt sienna, and one burnt umber. Now we're going to start off by putting yellow under the whole painting. So I'm going to use the light yellow, which is the cambium. And I mix a little yellow on the palette here. And then I just go straight into it. I'm going to go right across. It's just so extraordinary. You know how excited I get by putting the paint down. And I'm sure that Vincent van Gogh loved paint. And he liked to paint at night. And I heard that, or I read somewhere, that he one time went out and he had a hat and he put candles all around the top of the hat so he could paint at night, because of course it's really difficult painting outside at night. There's no light. And if you get too much light, you can't see what's going on out there. So we're going to go and put the yellow all underneath. And this yellow underneath the whole painting creates harmony. And we're going to just be thinking about the light and how this yellow is going to harmonize the whole painting. So we just go down here, quickly laying in this wash. And I don't care if it drips, and it doesn't have to be the perfect color yellow. Of course, I'm only using one color here, but I could even throw in a little gamboge. Gamboge is a little darker. People love these colors, and I'm going back up. And I've got this wonderful thick paper. And it's not going to buckle, which is great. You know, the lighter papers usually don't buckle. But when you're working with this much water, you really want to have something that's going to be very, very durable. Of course, Vincent van Gogh died in, I think it was 37 or 39. And he had, in many ways, a very, very tough, tragic life. And nobody knew quite what happened to him emotionally, if it was lead poisoning or emotional problems, we don't know. But we do know that he took his sorrow and his desperation and made the most extraordinary paintings. And his mother was very interested in the arts, and his father was a minister. So his two favorite things were, I think, were spirituality and art. Now, the reason I'm taking this off is because it's not quite dry. And I want to get it dry so it doesn't completely bleed. Now, I'm looking at this painting of Vincent's, and I'm looking at the energy of this painting, and there's one big, huge swirl that goes through the center of the painting. And it's almost, to me, as if he stayed outside at night for hours on end, and he could see these Milky Ways, or he could see the energy of the stars moving. So I'm going to start here, and I'm going to go like this, and we're going to have, this is like the major energy field in this painting. It went like this, and then there was another movement that went like this. And it went like that, and then it came around in a twirl. And this is just so I know where it is on the paper. And then, of course, we have up here, he had this extraordinary these mountains. But what we really know, those of us who've looked at this painting, what we really see is we see this starry night, the aliveness of it, the vibrancy, the excitement, the movement, and what goes on below. We've seen other artists paint things below, you know, like the mountains, and it comes down like this. And I'm just having it come down, and it comes down quite far. And that's just to give me an idea of what's going on here, just spatially. And I will go ahead and continue down here, and it's going to have we're going to put a little blue in here, a little brown. It's, you know, mountains or whatever it is in the background coming down. And obviously, I can't do all these extraordinary brushstrokes or even start to imitate them. I'm trying to get the basic massive shapes in here. But he did have all this energy that he put into the brushstrokes. I hear that he even painted it out of the tubes that sometimes. He'd get so excited, he'd just take the tube of paint and squirt the paint out and create the forms. And he was showing us the direction that he wanted the eye to go. The mountains were all like this, and these swirls in the sky were swirling. So it's the direction that he took us. And he painted this painting not long before he died, actually. Now, there's an energy field that comes off of this landmass. But I think what I want to do is I'm going to take my little brush, and he had these stars that just kept glowing and radiating out. And I think I'll take a little tiny bit of blue and just paint in these areas so I have a vague idea where they are. There's one there, and then there are other ones too. There's stars, there's a star up in here, and there's, stars, there's a star here, and here, and here, and here. And this is just helping me because I have to put blue around here. And there was another little star up in here, and there was that big one there. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going back in with the blue. And of course I'm looking all the time everywhere. So I'm looking down here, and I think there was a hill that went like that. And now we're going to go up into the sky. And this beautiful blue. But I feel like I know, after working with this, I feel like I'm so much more interested in this night sky. So we're going to have this going like this. This is the blue. And we're going to have this going around here. And I'm beginning to think that I should actually just go around here like this. This is going to make it a little bit easier for me because with that big brush, it's a little difficult to get around all these little shapes. And there was another little star in there. And this isn't to be exact. But the reason that it's so much fun to copy and master is because somehow you begin to understand what they are doing. And if you're a musician, you want to hear a famous musician. If you're an architect, you want to look at beautiful buildings. And you get closer. Now, I've got to keep moving here. I get so interested in talking. And so we're going to work on the top here. And we're going to go around these stars that are radiating out light. And we're going to go around them. And I'm thinking about the energy. He has the energy going from one side to the other. And he did this all with his oil paints. But it doesn't really matter if you're working in oil or watercolor or whatever, as long as you're getting the energy. And I'm going to change the blue a little bit here. I'm going to go right around here and just keep swishing. And I'm taking my brush and I'm going from one side to the other. Now, this goes down a little bit more, and it goes over this way. And you can see the energy as it's going around. I mean, who else ever painted this way? I'm sure there's some people that did. And so many artists get lost, actually. And he almost got lost. If it wasn't for his brother, Theo, who helped him so much, supported him emotionally and also financially, we wouldn't have this work. He wouldn't have been able to do this. Now we've got this whole area here that the moon is going to be in here. We're going around here, and we want to change the color. See how it's changing just a bit? And that makes it fun because we like a little variety in here, and we're going to put a little, just for the fun of it, I think I'll just put a touch of this burnt sienna in there. And then we're going to have this going around here. And he was using these beautiful blues and yellows that are so beautiful together. And then we have going around here, we're going to start over here again. It's hard to know where to start because it's all so much fun. And I want to say one thing is this area in here was almost like a radiating energy that came off the earth, and it followed this. And so we're going to just draw that in just to give me an idea of where that is. And this goes here, and then we have this incredible space that goes around here because there's all this energy. And then we have it going up here. And he, of course, did this with little brush strokes. Well, they weren't so little, but they weren't as big as what I'm using. And the reason I chose watercolor rather than oil was I felt it was going to be easier for me to, do this quickly because, of course, I have a half an hour, and he was out there for much longer than that, but I've learned so much. And that's why, whoops, do you see what just happened? This came down, and I really don't want that there, so I'm just taking this, I go to this little tissue and take that up, because we don't really need that drip. But it's not the end of the world. We're going to be putting other marks in there. And then this goes over here like this. And what's important is I want to get the energy of this whole thing. It goes around like this. And this goes around like that. And we're just going to keep going here, just reveling in this color of this paint. And you know, I think he probably might possibly have put a touch of red in here. I know he did, or one of the warm colors. So we got this going around here like this, and then this whole thing is going like this, and this is going around like this. And we're swirling all the time. Now we've kind of got the feeling of what's going on here, which is so incredible. And this goes around like this. And so we see what's happening here. Now, okay, now we're kind of, now we've got our basic block in here. So what we're going to do is, we're now going to put the orange sun in, or moon, the orange moon. We're mixing the red and the yellow, makes orange. So we're going to put that right up in here. So beautiful. Whoops. And we're not really too worried if we make mistakes. And then we're going to take some blue and kind of make these little lines around here. And he's got lines, and it's all indicative of what's happening. We don't necessarily need to have it perfect at all. And we're going to have little lines here, around here, and here. And this is all going around like that. And this is going like this. And what I think we're going to do here is we want this a little darker. So we're going to go in with the blue and just gently just go over like that. Just like that. Perfect. And then we're going to make some brighter yellow marks that go around here and all around here. And it just shows, you can feel the energy coming off of all these stars. And that's what he saw. Who knows? Maybe he had a different vision than most of us have. I know artists see things differently from other people, literally. They do. And we have this going around here like that. And then he had, in the middle of all these little stars, he had little orange dots just in the middle. So we'll put a little orange dot, just a bit here, there, there. We don't want to make them all exactly alike. And now I want this to, right here, we're going to just take that out a bit. Now, we've got this whole energy of this thing, which is so exciting. And of course, he would have had all these little strokes, but we don't have quite time to do that today. So we've got the energy of it. And now what we're going to do is make this incredible tree. And he wanted to be a minister at one point, but he wasn't accepted by the hierarchy. So he wasn't able to do that, although he was helping the people. But I feel like this cypress tree that he has, which went way up here, is like his aspiring up to the heavens that he talked about in that quote. So we go like this, and then we have the tree goes out like this. And we're going to make this dark, so I'm going to throw a little red in there. And that's going to make it even darker. And then that goes out like that. And then we have it going, oh, it's just so beautiful, this tree. We're going to have it coming right down. He had it coming right down off the page here, like this. And what I'm thinking about now is dark. I just want this really, really dark. Because it's darker than anything else. It's closer, as we know. Anything really close is going to be darker or lighter. And then he had another little tree coming up like that. And I think there was one like that too. And then it was so beautiful. He had another one coming out like this over here. And then the beautiful cypress came over that way. So we want this to go up like that. And he had, he actually went and he took some, looked like a brown red or whatever. And he delineated the tree with this. Just to look at the variety of the color. Isn't it just extraordinary? It just is so inspiring. if you want to learn, teach. And if you want to learn also, use your masters, copy what they did, use them for inspiration. I would never have learned what I've learned learning this by not trying to copy it. So here we have, and now we can go back in and hit with some of these little strokes, because he was taking our energy around in this area. So we want to imitate his strokes. And he went like that, and then it went like this, and then it started and it went around like this. And it actually went up like that. And so he had all these wonderful strokes, and he put all these little strokes around all these stars all around here. And then, of course, there were little buildings, below, which we could indicate a little bit. But there was a village down here, and actually, he loved the church, and so there actually was a little steeple down here amongst the little buildings. I think that what we're going to do here is just indicate a couple of these little buildings here. They were like this, and of course they were lighter, which we can't do. We can't make them lighter because it's difficult to paint light on dark in watercolor. But we're going to go back in here. You see, I want to make some of these little indications. But imagine what this man saw. Do you think his vision he really saw this? Or do you think because he was out at night that he actually felt this energy? I think he must have been a very, very feeling man. And we have the energy of the brush strokes all along here. Just going. And that's green, and I don't really care if it's green, but it's just saying the energy of, what I really get is that he was saying that everything is one. You don't feel like the moon up here is isolated moon or the star is isolated star. It's all one. It's all the cosmos. It's moving. And of course the stars are up there all day long, but we don't see them. But we do see them at night. And if we're up enough, you see that the stars move and change. And we thank Vincent so much for having the courage to just keep painting, and he was rejected over and over again. He was a passionate man. He cut his ear off because he had a disagreement with another artist. That's how passionate he was. And we're coming kind of to an end here. So I think that, we'll make one little steeple here. We had a little steeple, and I think it went up quite high, actually. So, because he liked it, I think the steeple is indicative. It's very much like the cypress tree. So I think that is about what we have for today, and I'm so glad that you joined us, and I'm so happy that you had the opportunity to see an extraordinary painting by Vincent van Gogh that inspired me, that hopefully will inspire you. Now, you may have different artists that you like. Whoever they are, use them and copy them and get close to them and study them. You will learn so much. And this, of course, is how the masters all learned. And the Chinese were so extraordinary, they would copy their masters often for their whole lifetime, never doing an original painting. If they were very fortunate and very skilled, sometimes when they were 60 years old, they were able to do an original painting. But we all use those of the past who have taught us. And I think it's a wonderful, wonderful tool that will enrich your life. So thank you so much for joining me today. Do something creative. It doesn't have to be painting. It could be anything. It could be cooking. It could be gardening. It could be anything. But whatever brings you joy, that is what we should be doing. Thank you so much. See you next time.
For more inspiration and to order DVDs, please visit mimisammis.com. Funding for Love to Paint with Mimi was provided by Agnes Gund, Utrecht Art Supplies, celebrating 60 years, and by Kelly and Robert Day. Additional funding was provided by the following: